Many things have changed in American government and politics, you probably noticed, but for some reason, the 100 days thing really sticks. Historically, it has been a period that creates its own reality because Congress and a lot of other elite forces tend to want to get things done in the 100 days, especially when there's one-party control. And so as we're approaching 100 days, you're going to hear more about it. So let's get into the facts on Trump's 100 days as he approaches 90 into this weekend. He's actually signed fewer bills into law than other presidents in this critical period going back 70 years. Remember, that includes presidents who had to work with the opposing party of Congress, but still found ways to get stuff done. There's just been about 5 minor laws, no major legislation from Trump, nothing big on, say, rewiring the economy or bringing manufacturing home or major social issues. Indeed, everything that he says is a priority, he's trying to do through executive power, having apparently learned in the first term that he just prefers it that way, regardless of the consequences. And that has led to another part of these first 100 days as we get close to them. Administration facing more setbacks, more blockages, more pauses than most modern administrations, including even Trump's first term. They have ran into these walls about 90 times. Trump has also tanked the markets with a tariff war that his own allies and business advisors said was foreseeably bad, and it was. If you look here at the comparisons with the top 500 companies, Trump's second term is just terrible. That's that lower red line. Trump's approval numbers also underwater. He did win the election. We've covered that. But that doesn't mean that after 4 years of a pause, people are liking what they're seeing in the first 90 days. Indeed, approval at 44, disapproval higher, economic disapproval highest ever for Trump. So, Americans voted, but are they getting what they wanted, especially after all the talk about a better economy and cutting prices? Longtime Republican Karl Rove says there is now official Trump fatigue. And writing in Fox News' sister publication, The Wall Street Journal, he says the White House throws its weight behind new issues that went entirely unmentioned during the campaign: rename the Gulf of Mexico, acquire Greenland, take back Panama Canal, make Canada the 51st state. This is Rovian sort of sarcasm in print. And he writes, Americans find themselves asking, where did that come from? So take a look at some of the current cuts over at the health department. They want to slash $40 billion to eliminate programs that deal with Americans' public health challenges, like support for, programs for, and research into addressing autism, teen pregnancy, lead poisoning, and one we've heard about in a lot of red states and that J.D. Vance used to talk a lot about, solutions for opioid addiction recovery, according to the New York Times account, and RFK Jr. slashing programs that just try to keep your food safe, ending food safety inspections, which are routine and pretty hard to understand why you wouldn't want that. They're halting food lab quality checks and trying to destroy something that nobody ever thought to really attack: the nonpartisan Food and Drug Administration's baby formula research. We don't have a lot of polling on that over the years because everybody wants safe baby formula. So I don't have a poll, not a reputable national one anywhere, where they say, hey, do you want lower prices? Yes or no? Do you want baby formula to be more dangerous? Yeah, people don't cast a vote for more dangerous baby formula. As you know, if you watch this program, I try to follow the evidence and the facts. We don't do a lot of sarcasm, but how else could you face a story about RFK Jr. rolling up his sleeves to get rid of all that baby formula safety work? We're joined by Dr. Zeke Emanuel, who served as Obama White House Health Policy Advisor and as Vice Provost at the University of Pennsylvania, and Washington Post columnist Dana Milbank, who has a new piece on the historic failure of Trump's impending 100-day mark in office. Welcome to you both. Dr. Emanuel, you and I have talked over the years, including during COVID, about how there were sometimes tough trade-offs. When you talk about working people and policy, you talk about how do you encourage the vaccine, or do you have a government set of requirements that alienate people from it because they feel overly pushed? What I at the time called hard questions, regardless of what my social media mention feed said. And yet what I just walked through, and you can get into the details for the viewers, aren't hard questions, it would seem. They are baseline safety measures for children, infants, et cetera, at the FDA that the Trump administration, RFK, wants to eliminate?
They're taking us back to 1905, just before we established the FDA in this country, to make sure that food would be unadulterated. Remember Upton Sinclair's great book, The Jungle, that showed that rotten meat and rats were being processed and then sold to Americans. That horrified everyone, and they passed the FDA. But we're going right back to that because they're undermining the labs that assess infant formula to make sure they don't have heavy metals like cadmium and lead. But that's true for the whole food supply, not just infants. And so we're going to have a food supply that is much less verified, that we can't be so confident doesn't have real adulteration and poisons in them that are going to affect people. I'm afraid that this could lead to not only people getting sick, that happens pretty regularly from some foodborne illnesses, but actually people dying because we just haven't inspected our food properly. And that's the real threat here, that we're going to purge and we're going to leave all Americans under a cloud of, is this food safe or not?
Dana, you've been writing about the 100-day mark. What do you see in your work?
Well, it's not pretty. I mean, Ari, he does have, 11 or 12 days to turn things around, but we don't seem to be on that trajectory. So I just tried to break it down. You mentioned he's been quite a legislative failure, 5 bills passed. I think it's more than 7 decades. I went all the way back to Herbert Hoover for a president, a new president, in terms of his legislative accomplishments. We know what the economic ones have been. We just listened to Jay Powell. We've seen the markets swooning. He promised to end wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Well, they're still going strong. He's alienated our friends with the trade war, splintering apart NATO, antagonizing Canada for no good reason. He's emboldened China, going after Taiwan more, taking advantage of the vacuum he's created. He's been a constitutional failure, as you point out, night after night. I think he's been shot down 80 times in temporary restraining orders by judges. As you noted, public opinion, he's well underwater. There's been a 16-point negative swing since the inauguration. And I don't even things like where he supposedly had victories, like the border. Okay, well, there are fewer crossings. There were already crossings were already really low. And guess what? He's not actually deporting more people than Biden was. And all of these vaunted cuts, for all the slashing of the FDA, as we're talking about, the whole DOGE savings has gone from $2 trillion to $1 trillion. Now it's $150 billion. And it looks like they're just making up numbers for that, too. So the only thing they seem to have done is caused a great amount of chaos, made people frightened, made people anxious, and have really dismantled government, but for no actual useful purpose.